Sometimes in the questions that are given to us, we may be given details of certain items such as sports materials or stationery, medicines, postage stamps, etc. Now our approach should be to calculate the cost of such items which have been consumed and show it on the expenditure side of the income and expenditure account. Now in this video, we will learn how to calculate the cost of such items of, let's say, sports materials or stationery or medicines which have been consumed. The treatment will depend on whether the balance of creditors for such items are not given or whether the balances of creditors for such items are given. Now, in case the balances of creditors for such items are given, that we know that purchases on credit are also being made. However, where the balance of creditors for such items are not given, then credit purchases are not being made. So we'll deal with these two cases separately. In case A, we will consider the situation where the balance of creditors for these items are not given. That is, the credit purchases of such items are not being made. And in case B, we will deal with the situation where the balances of creditors for such items are given, which means we are also making purchases on credit for such items. So let's begin with the first case A. Now, where the balance of creditors for the items are not given, to get the cost of the items consumed, let's take, for example, we need to get the cost of the medicines consumed. All we need to do is to prepare stock of medicines account. Now, the stock of medicines account format goes like this. The opening stock of medicines will be debited to the account in the first entry as to balance brought down, and on the opposite side, the credit side, the closing stock will be credited as the last entry as by balance carried down. Information as to cash purchases of such medicines can be obtained from the payment side of the receipts and payments account, and where medicines have been sold, the sale proceeds, the information can be obtained from the receipt side of the receipts and payments account. When medicines are sold, there may be a gain on sale or a loss on sale. In case it's a gain on sale, then we need to take it to the income side of the income and expenditure account. And where it's a loss on sale, we need to take it to the expenditure side of the income and expenditure account. Now, the balancing figure of the medicines account will be the medicines which has been consumed. So this cost of materials or medicines consumed needs to be taken to the expenditure side of the income and expenditure account. So this is the format of the medicines account. On the debit side, to balance brought down being the opening stock, to cash purchases for payment made for purchases. Any gain on sale is also debited to the account. Receipts from sale proceeds of the medicines will be credited as by bank. Any loss on sale of medicines will be credited as by loss on sale. And on the credit side, the last entry is by balance carried down for the closing stock of medicines. And the balancing figure will be the cost of medicines consumed, which has to be taken to the expenditure side of the income and expenditure account. The format of the opening balance sheet and the closing balance sheet, this case will be as follows. On the asset side of the opening balance sheet, we will insert the opening stock of the medicines, and In the case of closing balance sheet, on the asset side, we will insert the closing stock of medicines. So we understood case A, how to arrive at the cost of the item which has been consumed when the balances of creditors for such items are not given, and also how to depict it in the opening balance sheet as well as in the closing balance sheet. Let's move on to case B, where the balances of creditors for such items are given. Now in this case, we know that the not-for-profit organization is making credit purchase of such items. Now in this case, we need to prepare two accounts. The first account is to prepare the creditors for medicines account, and from this account we can get the credit purchases of medicines which we need to debit to the stock of medicines account, and then we need to go on to prepare the stock of medicines account to get the cost of the medicines which has been consumed. So the first account, the creditors for medicines account, let's check out the format. The amount owing towards the creditors is by balance brought down, the opening balance of amount due to the creditors. On the opposite side, last entry, to balance carried down, the closing balance of amount due to the creditors. In case any advance has been given to the creditors, on the debit side, to balance brought down for opening balance of the advance. And on the opposite side, the credit side, by balance carried down for closing balance of advance. Any cash paid to creditors will be shown in the payment side of the receipts and payments account, and the information can be obtained from there. The balancing figure of creditors for medicines account is credit purchases by credit purchases account, and this amount has to be debited to the stock of medicines account. So this is the format of the creditors of medicines account, and this account has to be prepared so that we can find out the credit purchases of the item. Now once we find out the credit purchases, we can go forth to prepare the stock of the medicines account. As we discussed in the earlier case, it begins with the opening stock of medicines to balance brought down. Any cash purchases we can obtain from the payment side of the receipts and payments account. The credit purchases also will come here as to credit purchases account. This is the balancing figure of the creditors for medicines account. A gain on sale will be debited to gain on sale and will also be taken to the income side of the income and expenditure account. The loss on sale will be credited to the stock of medicines account and also taken to the expenditure side of the income and expenditure account. The sale proceeds, we can obtain this information from the receipts side of the receipts and payments account. The account will end with the closing stock of medicines as by balance carried down. The balancing figure will be by cost of materials consumed. It will be taken to the expenditure side of the income and expenditure account. So now in the second case, where the balances of creditors for the items are given, we need to prepare both the accounts. We'll begin with the creditors for the item account, get the credit purchases, and go on to prepare the stock of the item concerned account. Let's check out the format of the opening balance sheet. The amount which is due to creditors, the opening amount, will be shown on the liability side. Stock of medicines, the opening stock on the asset side. And in case any advance is given to the creditors, the opening advance amount will be also shown on the asset side of the opening balance sheet. The format of the closing balance sheet, the amount due to creditors, the closing balance will appear on the liability side. stock of medicines, the closing stock amount of medicines will be shown in the asset side, and any advance given to creditors, the closing balance of such advance amount will also be shown on the asset side of the closing balance sheet. So we've seen how to calculate the cost of the item which has been consumed in both the cases, when credit purchases are being made as in case B, and when credit purchases are not being made as in case A. In the upcoming video, we will solve a few sums relating to this concept so that we can understand this better.